Hey guys, so we're gonna continue the series, which is that you are stronger than your problems, you are more important than your problems, you are more powerful than your problems. Um, and there's a lot of steps to this. We've already covered some of them, but we're gonna cover one step today, and the step in this equation here is that you can adjust from your problems. You can adjust from your problems. So, we're talking about a situation that we're in. We're talking about a challenging moment. We're talking about a growth opportunity. And in order to harness the situation correctly, in order to come to terms with it correctly, you have to believe that you can adjust. You have to believe that you can adjust. That you can absolutely find a way to move on or to carry on or carry off or whatever the case may be from this problem, from this situation. So what does that look like in action? So the best way I can describe it is, let's just say you got a problem with a substance. Maybe you've got a problem with alcohol. Maybe you've got a problem with drugs. Maybe you've got a problem with food. You've got a problem with pornography, whatever you got a problem with. You can adjust. You probably don't see it right now. You're probably in a situation where you don't know what it looks like to function without that substance. You don't know what it looks like to function without that circumstance. You don't know what it's like to function without that chemical. You don't know what it's like to function without that habit. You don't know what it's like to function without that hobby. That's okay, you don't see that right now. Because if you see, part of the growth process is that you don't necessarily see what future you is doing, because otherwise you'd already be doing it. But you as a person, you have to say, okay, I will find a way to function without that chemical. I will find a way to function without that substance. I will find a way to function without that hobby. I will find a way to function without that addiction. Right? And it might be something less drastic. It just might be, you know what? I got to be up a half hour early extra day because I got to make sure I get all my medicine in me. You can absolutely adjust to incorporate that into your regimen. I promise. You might not see the way to adjust right now. You might not see what it looks like to adjust. It might take time to adjust. But you can absolutely adjust. It doesn't matter what your problem is. Like if you've got severe back pain, right? You're going to have to adjust how you live in order to work around that pain. You're also going to have to adjust by incorporating a pain regimen and a strengthening regimen and a flexibility regimen. You can absolutely adjust into all that. I think part of being a human being is a resistance. And that's what Kierkegaard called it, the resistance. There's just a general, I don't want to do anything other than what I'm already doing. If anything, I want to amplify what I'm already doing. And that's part of the human journey. The human mind and the human body are very complex and very fascinating mechanisms. Ultimately, we want to continue what's already been done. Good, bad, or indifferent, we want to continue what's already been done. But we as people, we have to remain flexible. We have to remain adaptable. We have to remain in a state to say, okay, I've got this pattern. It's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. I need to get rid of step 2. I need to get rid of step 2. What are you replacing it with? I don't know yet, but step 2 absolutely has to stop. So you find a way to function without step 2. And maybe you find a replacement for step 2. Maybe you don't find a replacement for step 2. But you find a way to adjust. You find a way to function. You find a way to carry on. Or if it's a matter of, I've got 4 steps that I perform every day, now I need to add a 5th. Well, I've never done that before. I don't know how long it takes. I don't know what it would take of me. You got to get out there and figure that part out. No one is going to be able to figure out what the adjustment looks like other than you. You have to figure out what your adjustment looks like. You have to figure out what your flexibility looks like. Because ultimately, this is your journey. Ultimately, this is your path. Ultimately, this is your set of circumstances that you are coming to terms with. Good, bad, or indifferent, you have to come to terms with this. And, like anything with life, there's always an exception, right? If you're in a severe financial, if you're in a severe physical, if you're in a severe emotional or psychological situation, then it might not be as simple as adjusting. There might only be so much you could adjust in any given day. I understand that wholeheartedly. I've been in those situations where the amount of control I've had in a situation was god awful. But I still figured out one little thing that I could adjust, and I stuck with that. And I amplified that to the best of my abilities. So what I'm getting at in this value chain of you are stronger than your problems, you are bigger than your problems, you are more important than your problems, is that you've got to tell yourself that this is not the end, that this is not going to break me, that I am going to find a way to adjust. Right? So this whole sequence of episodes is just basically pulling it apart to say, okay, this situation may be happening, but this situation does not define me, and this situation is not going to be the final say. I'm going to have the final say. I have the ability to define myself. I have the ability to come to terms with my environment. I am writing my story as we speak. Therefore, let's make this the best story possible. Let's make this story so incredible that every time you tell it, every time someone hears it, they've got nothing but the only reaction is a standing ovation. Find your standing ovation, guys. You can find it. It is there. So, just kind of rewinding back to the lesson, the focus of this slice of the pie is that you can adjust from your problems. Even if it's a matter of you need to change your habit, just start working towards that. Start finding one little slice that you can adjust and you can keep adjusted, and then you build on that for your further victories. All right, guys. Peace.